Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Maconi Entertainment, and welcome to night number 3 of the opening edition of Jeff Maconi's ARCA Bootcamp here in 2026. My name is Ron Mullins. Alongside me in the commentary booth for tonight's show is Ewan O'Leary, with Howie Burrows working all the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler. Now, I will say, before we get too far lost up in the show, I want to give some love to the colleague that I've had in the booth the past 2 nights, Mr. Adam Thompson. He actually retired following last night's race, but to bring in Ewan, it's been an eventful past couple of days. Monday was tame, Tuesday was basically mass hysteria, so maybe we'll find a happy medium here tonight.
Well, that's what we've been hoping for. I've been hearing about what's been happening over the last couple of nights, and I mean, ARCA racing at Daytona is always exciting, so I'm looking forward to it, I've got to say. Heading in towards February, of course, the all-important February, and indeed January, I suppose. This track is exactly the place you want to be at this time of year.
Oh yeah, this track is absolutely fantastic. It comes alive this time of year. Thinking, obviously, you got the Daytona 500 and all the NASCAR festivities. Of course, the ARCA 200, which I think is going to be called the Ride the Dente 200 this year. I just heard a driver blow up their motor on my iRacing feed, so that may be a sign of things to come here tonight. But obviously, at the NASCAR event, ARCA running on the same weekend as well. Of course, the Daytona 24 coming up in real life and in the sim as well. You also got some motorcycle races. Oh, that's who blew up their motor. Okay, we're gonna swiftly and abruptly move on. Oh, nope, actually, we're gonna take... What in the... Okay. Yeah, that... We've already had a driver end up in the catch fence. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody.
Well, yeah, exactly. Hopefully that means they're just not racing or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that was at the end of their qualifying laps. I don't know. But anyway, so we're coming towards the end of that now, and from what I've been hearing as well, I'm not sure how many actually set times, but there's a lot of drivers in this session, and if they all do attend, it's going to be very, very busy.
Yeah, so I think at the moment we've had about 35, 36 drivers set some qualifying times. I'm looking through right now. Some drivers running some interesting lines as well. I believe Dan Witt, who I was following on my own iRacing feed, was actually running on the apron come time for the tri-oval, which I didn't even know was a strategy you could actually run here at Daytona. I think that would usually go about as poorly as you could ever imagine, but that actually worked out for him. He's currently qualified in 3rd. Now, we do have a lot of entries here tonight that will get whittled down slightly, very similar to how things went last night. It was 36 starters that we had for last night's race, shall we call it that? So I think we'll probably see a little bit of the field get whittled down to size, but either way, we are going to have a massive starting grid. Now, we're clicking over from qualifying into the warm-up session. So I think we are actually hearing as well every single qualifier, so every driver set a qualifying time going to be starting this race. So anyone tuning into this broadcast, maybe a right time to say a couple of Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers. John Cole Morgan will start this race from the pole position. Connell Bolton will join him on the front row. Dan Witt, the driver I said had an interesting idea in qualifying, will start this race in 3rd, alongside Benjamin Elliott in 4th. It's Cameron Verplank in 5th, alongside Justin Anasogak in P6. Looking right behind on row number 4, it's going to be Desmond Bernal alongside Mateo Mitchell. Roger Bluff Sr. will start this race in P9 with Wade Parks rounding at the top 10, Ewan.
Yep, Jeremy Briggs will start in 11th place, our winner from last night, in front of Harrison Chandler, who is in 12th position. Scrolling down to the next row, it's Mike Allen, who is alongside Andrew Register, with Nathan Barrows in 15th, and the first driver over 10th off of pole, because it's Daytona, Jake Bollman. Nicholas Moody and Michael Tucker then are on row 9, and rounding out the top 20, it's Chris Amin and Gregory Smith.
And then looking outside the top 20, we got Sean Futterell starting this race in P21. Dave Horton starting alongside in 22nd. It's Eli McDonald in P23 alongside Anton Trusevich in 24th. Looking right behind, we've got Anthony Lane in P25. Kirk Mills, our Maconi Entertainment colleague, in 26th. It's Tony Green in 27th. Lawson Sell in P28. Aaron Martin in 29th, with Daisy Harr starting in 30th.
And these are the guys at the back. Michael Winter starting 31st, and Bray Holmes and Zane Mora, the last driver, within 2/10 of pole. Ben Pletier is 34th, and Daytona Cross, if that's a real name, by the way, that's a great omen for this race. Jeff Maconi didn't set a time, will be coming from the back of the field, but easy to forget that on Monday night he finished second by only 0.08 of a second, so who knows what he might be able to do from the very back tonight.
And we've been able to get through all of that with the checkered flag now out in warm-up, so everybody's going to be abducted by that UFO and spat onto pit lane. Well, we're about to get a restart here in the not-too-far-off future. Again, actual start in the not-too-far-off future, I should say, and a restart to what has been an eventful past couple of nights here on Maconi Entertainment, and I hope you have enjoyed the action. If you have, happy to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. Hearing as well, Jake Mullen, a real-life driver, so once again, we have real-life representation. Of course, Jeff Maconi running in some ARCA races last year and running in some this upcoming year as well. We hope you'll probably be at the Daytona ARCA test this upcoming weekend. Looking at the race information, same as the past couple of nights, 50 laps, which can go by somewhat quickly, one fast repair, which can go by very quickly, and 3 green-white checkered attempts, which despite the fact that we have had a decent amount of incidents over the past couple of nights, we've only had to use one of them over the past 2 nights. Now, you, and I'll pass this off to you. Do you think we're going to maybe make up for that here tonight? Do you think we may exhaust all 3?
I do feel like it's one of those races, based on what we've seen in the last couple of nights, where if there's a caution in the, let's say the last 10 laps of regular time, as it were, then yes, I think we could well exhaust them, to be honest. But you just never know if we get a run together and, you know, the field starts to reduce with a long green flag run and it thins out a little bit, then maybe it's possible we can get a long run to the end and not require any attempts at going an extra distance here. But it does feel likely, based on what we've seen the last couple of nights, that we may need those extra laps.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if we do go past the 50 scheduled here. It was a rather tame finish, it must be said, for last night's racing. It was hectic in a vast majority of it. Then for the final 15 laps, it started to settle into a groove. So we'll have to see if we get that same sort of thing here tonight. Heard in the iRacing chat, and I'm going to try and cooperate that to see whether or not that is the case. We may actually have 40 starters. I don't believe we are. I heard that the top 40 would be in this field, but I'm looking right now, and I believe it may be a little bit less than that. But either way, still pretty jam-packed field.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see 37 at the moment, which, as I say, is absolutely fine. It's more than what you get for NASCAR Cup Series races these days, or sometimes anyway. So it's a good number of drivers out there, and you know, you don't want a completely empty Daytona. Although, to be fair, a Daytona in ARCAs with 10 cars is quite, well, I think quite interesting. But anyway, we're going to get 37 here for this one. Going to be very exciting to see. And indeed, as we've mentioned, some real-world talent on the grid as well. I just researched Jake Bowman, by the way, because I didn't know he was a real-life driver either, but has raced it in the ARCA Mile Series at Phoenix on the last couple of years. So there you go, has experience in these cars in the real world over in Arizona. So there you go, as we at the other end of the country get to the green flag here at Daytona.
Yeah, go from a dry heat to humid heat here under the lights at Daytona for the final night of Jeff Maconi's ARCA boot camp, here to get the season up and rolling. The green flag flies, the drivers are on their way. That's a pretty big jump right off the bat. I think we may have some penalties coming down already, but a good start for the field. Everybody trying to tussle up. That's a driver spinning a little bit farther in the back, trying to figure out exactly who that was with a wild backwards and tail racing start. Start they had in mind as everybody else running smooth, it looks like.
Yep, Tony Green and Anthony Lane are the ones at the back of the field. It looks like a 2-driver incident, although the 81 of Lane is a lot further detached from the rest of the field. And there's the crash that we were expecting on the opening of this race, just on the backstretch on lap number 1, and there's a lot of damaged cars.
That looked like about 17 separate crashes going on at the exact same moment. We'll start off with Anthony Lane, who is a driver spun off big time into the tri-oval to get this race up and rolling. Pretty severe ARCA brakes as I take a look at what happened out there. As a 30 just going to idly drive down into the inside safer barrier. I will say with the pavement on the back straightaway instead of the old grass, we're going to see these racers probably slide through there more often than not, as let's get the replays up and rolling. Anthony Lane here in the number 81 car. Big
Oh.
check up there. Nothing he can really do.
Yeah, not really his fault at all, and not Tony Green's fault either. There was just a big stack up from those up in front there, and yes, you could say they shouldn't be trying to get a run on each other like that, but that's the only really thing they did wrong there. And if somebody's slowing down dramatically in front of you, there's not a lot you can do. Now, this looks like a two-driver incident that's effectively been extended by people crashing into each other while they're trying to avoid the two drivers who initially get together. See if we can actually see this from the very beginning to get a bit better understanding, but it looks like a pretty difficult one to avoid. The 30 car was going pretty slowly through the middle, but they're not the cause of it. The 43 on the outside looks like it gets turned across there, and that is Jake Bowman, by the way, in the 43. Not sure he could do too much from there on the outside line, and he's one of the drivers down pit lane currently getting that damage repaired.
And so very early on, we are under yellow. Let's take a look at some of these racers maybe piling into the incident. Yeah, a bit of ARCA braking going on there, it must be said. Not the first we've seen of that over the past couple of days, and I would captain the guess that will not be the last that we see of it either. Under yellow, though, already, and hearing as well that that penalty that we thought, the potential penalty, I should say, has actually come down. I believe that was Bray Holmes, I believe, was maybe the driver. Actually, no, I apologize there. That would not be him. Regardless, drivers running into some difficulties right off the battles. Connell Bolton, the Canadian, in the number 76 car that we see with the black flag.
Yeah, so Paul Morgan's come in and only for what? A few seconds? 5 seconds or so? 7 seconds, sorry. So that won't have cleared the black flag at all. Oh, it has. Oh. Okay. So might have manually been cleared, but I don't think it's a bad idea to come in this time round, actually. If we're expecting there to be cautions, then you can very much expect there to be a lot of fuel-saving opportunity. And just that little top-off on fuel there, even though they only did half a lap, that now only gives them 48 laps or so to do. And with a couple of cautions, you'd need 3 or 4, but I think you could make it from here to the very end, and that might be what some of the guys who've just come in there will be thinking about.
See, now on night one, we did talk a decent amount about the strategy and what racers could try and do to set themselves up the best for the end of the race, doubly so with that looming threat of 3 green-white checkered attempts here for these racers. However, I would be willing to get kicked in the leg by a football player that we're probably going to have some more yellows between now and the end.
Yeah, I would imagine there will be. We didn't even get a lap, let's not forget, from run number 1, so I would absolutely imagine there's going to be another one. But of course, one of the great things about one of Jeff's events is that he generally shortens the cautions, unless we've had a very long green flag run where it runs out properly. The cautions are very short round here, so we can get going again, having only lost a couple of laps here.
And doubly so as well, considering we weren't even at the end of the first lap. If drivers had to be waved around after that, I would have to have some questions. About to get the first restart of the night, 3 laps into this 50-lap affair here at Daytona. The green flag flies and the drivers are back on their way. A commanding restart there from Benjamin Elliott in the number 33 car on the inside. Driver rejoining the racetrack as they wreck farther behind. That's the 49. More drivers piling into that. Was worried about that car rejoining the racetrack, but it's the drivers behind that bring out another yellow.
Well, it was almost instant, and you could see there with that shot, actually, there's still some drivers. Again, it's the stack up at the start. Got to be more careful of this from now. And in the end, you see that the 49, 46, 35, all absolutely pinned together there, and one of them was always going to go around. But they've got to get these restarts, as in the bit before the restart, down correctly, because what we've seen now for 2 restarts in a row, or 1 start and 1 restart, is drivers trying to make a bit of an advantage by just hanging off the back and trying to get a run on the driver in front of them. If everybody does that and then they realise they actually can't do that and they're going to crash into the back of the driver in front and they've got to slam on the brakes, that concertina effect down the line is very, very deadly, and unfortunately it's caused trouble. It's caused a caution this time round. It caused trouble on the opening start as well.
And see, one thing that I have learned over the past couple of nights is a way to kind of not necessarily control my anger, but to control my anger. A little bit of bubble wrap is what's needed at a time like this. So we'll a little pop there. We'll continue it on throughout the night. It's a bit from me, so I'm going to run it all the way into the ground and even down to the center of the earth. So we are a tenth of the way through this race under yellow once again. The second yellow, second restart. I think we have done now about a full half lap as a result of it, because they were a little short of that halfway mark on lap 1 when the yellow did come after that first incident. We got a little bit of time there, so I think it has now officially evened out to a half a lap of green flag racing. I said that I'd be willing to get kicked in the shins by a football player if we ran this race all the way through to the end without any other yellows. So thankfully, my shins are now safe.
Which type of football would you prefer?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this is honest. If it was, what the rest of the world calls football, that would be painful. If it was American football, and I decided to pick our kicker here from the Philadelphia Eagles, I probably wouldn't have to worry, because after a performance a couple of weeks ago, we can't really kick too many good field goals. That's a number 76 coming down pit lane once again. I'm surprised that yellow... See, I think there's another black flag that came down. That one wasn't getting cleared.
No. Having said that, there's with all the trouble so far, there's nobody out the race yet. I don't think. There might be a risk of Jake Barman or actually Roger Buff might be out the race, but for the most part, everybody's still in the game. Thankfully, you're a lot calmer about your poor kicker, I've got to say, than someone from Baltimore might be at the moment. Though I must point that out. Thoroughly enjoyed myself on Sunday evening there. Very good fun.
Yeah, so I joked about this last night. I can't remember whether it was off the air when I said this quip or on the air, but my best friend, who I've lived with now for the past year and a half, I feel really bad for her, because she, not too big of a sports person, as am I to a certain degree. I make quips every now and then, but the sports I really care about are just pretty much baseball. The New York Giants won game party. Yeah, they won like twice this past season. Sorry, Howie. But no, yeah, I was gonna say, not really too big of a sports fan herself, but she went from Baltimore, which has a pretty ravaged fan base, to Philadelphia, which has a pretty wild fan base as well. So, and two different ends of the sports fan spectrum. The Ravens fans and Eagles fans, very similar. Both teams named after birds and in very dangerous cities. About to get the season up and rolling here once again. It's been a wild start. They're nearly stacking up a little bit farther in the back, but we are green, at least for now. And they crashed.
Wow. How many meters was that? I mean, it wasn't many, that's for sure. I mean, who's even brought this out? Daytona Cross has now got a black flag, I think. Yep, that's a black flag for the driver in 27th place. So what has happened here to the 46? As I was about to say, a good or better job for everybody in terms of not hanging on the back and trying to get a run on that, but I mean, that wasn't true, clearly, because I wasn't watching these guys. Again, it's the same thing again. Trying to get a run on the guys in front, accelerating and braking again and again and again, and that's brought out our third caution, is it already, of the day. I mean, you can't get the, you can't try and get a run on the row in front of you like that. You've got to accelerate with the field and make the moves properly. You can't try and get them for free, cheaply and illegally, and well, this is why.
And the 46 involved in another restart incident. I believe they were at the epicenter of the one not too long ago, although I will double check to make sure that is true before I throw any accusations out there. But either way you slice it, it has been a rough start for a lot of this field, and I think there is a little bit of growing frustration with some of these racers as well. And actually
they're by the way, they're racing. They're not. It's not actually green flag. They're just trying to catch the pace car, which because the cautions come out so early in the lap for the last two occasions, they've had to really race back around to try and catch back up to it again, and that's proving to be a bit of a challenge for a few of them.
Yeah, and I just went back as well. The 46, that's Ben Pelletier. That's been two restart-related incidents in a row that he's not necessarily started, but was definitely a leading cause in. So there may be a strongly worded message coming from me just to let him know to cool his jets, which I think is very much so necessary at this point in time. But hearing as well that we are going to be getting a restart here very soon. I believe Jeff has shortened the yellow once more. So we're going to be getting a restart in the not too far off future, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed we can at the very least make it to turn 3.
Yeah, I hope so. Nice to at least get a run. Sorry, at least a lap, because I've almost completed 10 of this race, of course, and we haven't had a full green flag lap there. I just really, really pray that these guys don't try and just break the rules blatantly on these restarts, and do it properly so that we can get up to, when it's a proper run going and you finally get a crash, then, fine, that can happen around here, but the restarts is very, very clumsy.
Yeah, I gotta say, seeing this field pack up, even when the race is going on, up and hearing as well the 46 just got bounced out of the race. So that's the first driver that we have sent off to hell. 35. Oh my goodness! I'm actually looking at some of this stuff going on here. I'm trying to think of who it was that just pile drove into somebody. Oh yeah, it was actually. I think I know the reason why the 46 was booted out of the session. He pile drove into the back of, I believe it was a 35, under yellow, going about 100 miles an hour. Which I'm not like. You can't be that stupid. You can, well, you can, but don't.
Yeah, just don't. Yeah, a real shame to see. We're oh dear. Yes. Okay. So was that on this course? Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that was this course. So yeah, that's why. There you go.
About to get another restart here, rolling. This is restart number 4. We are not even 10 laps into this. I hope this isn't a sign of things to come. About to get another restart here, looking at the back of the pack as the front of the pack looks calm. The green flag flies and the drivers are on their way. We're once again racing here at Daytona. Look at that. That's some aggressive maneuvering there from Benjamin Elliott. They wreck farther behind. Will that be a yellow? Probably it is.
Well, I mean, they didn't get to turn 1 for the 3rd time in a row. So, what caused it this time? Because it wasn't that finally they did do the restart bit properly. But then how does this happen in the end? I mean, right. Well, the 76 trying to make it 3 wide, not unreasonable. But the 35 doesn't stay on the bottom of the racetrack, and some guys down the back and who are causing these cautions are going to start to get DQ'd here. That one we saw from just a moment ago is not going to be the last one by the sound of it.
See, I will say, and this is honest, maybe it's just me trying to play God because I do have admin privileges here for these events. I'm getting to the point now where I feel like I need to send in a message into the race server chat and say, hey, any drivers who cause a crash, you will get flamed by us here on the broadcast. Oh, no. Okay.
Whoa, what's going on here?
Oh, no, we've hit the point. I think this was before you were here at Maconi, Ewan, but back, I think it was the first ever running of the ARCA boot camp back in May of last year. We got to the point in some of those races where we started to take a look at the driver skincare routines, which I wouldn't say it sent me to therapy because no therapist would ever take me. However, yeah, so now you've experienced it firsthand. How is it looking at the soulless eyes of the iRacing drivers?
Well, I must admit, I have seen them before. I think they do look strange. We should be able, maybe it's a meaningless feature, but we really should be able to change our character, I think. Or can you? Is that a thing that's been added since I've stopped using iRacing? I don't know, but
see, I believe you can, but it's like pre-select. You need to select different like. Yeah, I don't believe there's too much.
It's not like a fully.
customization.
No, right, okay.
See, the problem that I've got with my iRacing character is there is no iRacing character that looks weird enough to match me. I haven't cut my hair since May of 2021. I have shocker 3-foot long red hair. Yeah, it's a sight to behold seeing me just shuffle my way through the streets of Philadelphia like 6'2", 235 with 3-foot long red hair. That is about as dense as my own skull. So if I want to have like my hair length be matched, I have to pick from female characters, and even then, too short.
That's oh dear, someone's crashing under caution there. Not sure who that was at the back of the back of the group, but anyway, we've got 27 left on the lead lap. This might be quite funny. It was around the back stretch, which we're fast forwarding to. It might well have been, you know. It wasn't a sort of clattering into the back of the field, but it was just sort of a very clumsy, almost as if, you know, when you're under caution, you're not really concentrating on where you're going. Yeah, here we go. Anyway, let's hope that they clean that up in time for the green flag, and we can at least get to turn 1, which is got to be the new target.
You know, it's been many, many moons since I prayed. However, this may be one of those times. 12 laps into this 50-lap long race, I am keeping my fingers crossed and keeping my non-crossed fingers on the bubble wrap, waiting for some sort of shenanigans to take place here. Now, the field has been cut down incredibly to size. Do want to say at this point in time, no incident point limits for these races, but as I have done the past 2 nights, I will let you know who has some of the highest X as we get to the end of this race. Here's another restart, about 13 laps in. Hopefully, lucky lap 13 is not a sign of more drama to arise. Looking at the field as they head their way downtown into turn number 1, we've made it.
We have made it to turn 1, so we can make it a little bit further as Justin Ansagak is getting a very, very good push here from Mateo Mitchell out front and Declan Burnell as well in the 16 car. We get through turn 2 cleanly as well. Now we're into uncharted territory here as we get down the backstretch, halfway through the backstretch. We're into turn 3 for the first time.
Yeah, and everybody single file up towards the front for the most part. Now, they are still side by side a little bit farther in the back on the top side. Not really having a lot of momentum. They're stalled out with a chunk of cars at the back end that aren't really filed out at all. They nearly fan out 3 wide as they head their way out of 4 to complete the first lap of green flag racing thus far here tonight. It's Agasak leading this race at the moment. Mateo Mitchell right in tow with Desmond Bernal completing your top 3. It looks like the top side may try and get their act together soon, though.
Yeah, and they're probably going to be joined by one of those front 4. Oh, big slide and a big save through turn 2. Very impressive save. I'm not sure who was at the front of that line, but they've just saved a certain caution pretty much single-handedly. That was remarkable.
Yeah, everybody keeping their stuff together somewhat, kind of. Still had a near disaster, but it wasn't a disaster, so I think the wins were there allotted. Already fanning out to 3 wide racing all through 3 and 4. The front of the field broken up significantly with a train of cars all running single file, trying to drive away from the rest of the pack. Jeff Maconi, as he usually does, though, trying to break away and form a topside. I believe that may be Harrison Chandler that he's duoed up with.
See what we'll see on this replay here. This is coming over the start-finish line. Maybe at the end of lap number 1, so... Was it the 33 who was at the front of that really nice save in the way out of turn 2? Looks like it might have been. I mean, pushing all the way through the turn, not ideal really, but it's a short race, so what can you expect? Oh, look at that. Massive save. Fair play to the driver of 33. That's Benjamin Elliott, who, as I say, saved a certain caution there.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That is a moment out through turn number 3 and 4, and that's going to bring the yellow out. Trying to figure out who's at the epicenter of all of this. It was going so well for so long until it went so badly so quickly. Here's the 81, the 27. Bad bumping once again.
Well, it was. And the 27 came back onto the racetrack very aggressively indeed, taking out the car that had just spun it around. And that's 2 very wonky front wheels now. And 81 actually can't even turn left to go into pit lane, so escapes on the racetrack as well. Leaves us down to another couple of meatballs and might leave us down to just 21 cars on the lead lap here. So field is thinning out very, very quickly.
Yeah, it is thinning out incredibly quickly indeed. The driver is also running on the apron. See, we saw a driver run on the bus stop chicane last night, just inexplicably out of the blue under yellow. I'd love to see a driver try and do that once again here. That'd be rather interesting. Keeping tabs on incident points, Zane Moore in the number 35 car, who I think was the one that got shown the door. I'm trying to think if he got booted out of the session. No, I don't believe he did. 27, Alt Ford, shortly after that incident. I don't think he wanted to get sent to hell. The 35 car, though, is currently out of this race. Is currently top of the board of incident points. 28x, and to do that in 16 laps is almost impressive. Emphasis on almost.
Yes. Well, it's been an impressive race in some ways so far. Maybe not in the ways that we would have liked. The light's still on top of the pace car at the moment, so maybe we're not going to get an accelerated caution. As a few drivers come down pit lane now and take some fuel. I would imagine only fuel stop required in this race, and now the lights go off, so we will indeed be going green at the end of this one.
And here is a shot of the MVP thus far here tonight. It is the iRacing pace car, the sedan pace car. Absolutely. I wonder how much mileage this car has. Oh, somebody just got sent to hell. I believe it was Anton Trusovic, I believe. He was a driver of the number 42 car. It had to have been under yellow. So I wonder if we've seen another case of under yellow ARCA brakes where a driver piles into a pack of cars just running at a snail's pace. So we'll try and get that pulled up and see exactly what has seen another driver get essentially have heads roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Was that under caution there?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. Okay. 42 getting sent. I mean, it's been pretty remarkable, really, how many times we've seen that so far under these cautions. But there you go. I guess it's maybe unremarkable when you actually see the green flag racing as well, to be fair. But either way, we're 1/3 the way through, and we are starting to get a bit longer and longer as far as the green flag runs are concerned. So hopefully that continues now into this latest restart.
And speaking of, we are about to get another restart here in just a few moments' time. Some drivers blinking in and out a little bit farther in the back. That's what happens when you drink White Monster, folks. Sometimes it'll just cause you to completely disappear off the mortal plane. About to get this race restarted here with the top side, not really comprising of many cars. And we are back to green flag running once again here under the lights at Daytona. And it's familiar names in familiar places throughout this field. The same drivers that we've seen throughout the night, running up towards the front lane. Harrison Chandler on the outside, some 3-wide racing as they head their way into turn number 1. That's going to be very close.
Yeah, careful. Oh no, there's a blinking car up on the high side as well, and it's gone. It's gone. I mean, there were 3 wide there briefly, but it's gone, so I don't know what's gone on there, and it has saved them from a potentially precarious moment. But again, we've got drivers on the inside line looking to try and form a bit of a breakaway group, but again, there are drivers unwanting to do that, and Jeff Maconi's leading the outside line again there.
And actually hearing as well that Harrison Chandler was removed from the server, and that was mainly down to the fact that he taunted one of the admins. Yeah, you know, FAFO, I think, is probably the best way that I can describe that. No! 31 and 22 going to make contact, and they stack up huge.
They do. And that leaves a lot of the back of the field damaged again with the latest caution of the day. Jeff Maconi again leading that outside line and leading double file, but the inside tried to push themselves on. He just about avoids it. The 31 trying to stick its nose down the inside there at turn number 1, and there wasn't really space for it.
Look, why? Why? What was that for? Like, you're on the apron, trying to get a move done on the inside Daytona, on the apron, even in a stock car that's meant to go through the transition. Yes, I'm popping the bubble wrap as I'm going through this, so I don't say something that I can't say on the air. You can't, again, you can't be that stupid. Well, you can, but don't. That was never going to fly. That was never going to work. I
Well, I mean, it's a change of momentum as well, isn't it? Because the 22 car there gets stacked up with whatever's in front there as well. So it's a bit unintentional, I think, for the 31, really. I don't think he wanted to be down below the double yellow line there trying to make overtakes, but you get almost shoved alongside almost when you're super speedway racing like this. You sometimes just find yourself alongside like that, and yeah, unfortunately it's caused another caution here.
See, maybe I just doomed myself the fact that I started off this broadcast with like a solid 8 of 10 migraine, but these drivers are giving me no favors to try and be a little bit worse. So, oh boy, I do not know what to say anymore. So we're under yellow again. It's lap number 20 of this 50-lap long race, and I've already gone through a decent amount of this small little bit of bubble wrap, so we're having a good time here on Maconi Entertainment. I'm at the point now where I'm waiting for just like one of the planes taking off out of Daytona International Airport to just like smoke an engine and try and land on the back straightaway. As we may see something interesting here. Are the drivers coming down pit lane? Golly, they are.
Yeah, quite a lot of them. Who's staying out, I think, is the more interesting. Dan Witt in the 39 is staying out. Nathan Barrows, Matthew Heel, Andrew Register, Daytona Cross, although Cross is a lap down. So that's 4 on the lead lap only staying out here. Lots of fuel being taken up and down the grid, but not many tyres being taken, at least at the front. Anyway, the winner of the race off pit lane is Matteo Mitchell, I think, yeah, in the 44 car.
Yes, and now seeing this field come down the pit lane, we were thinking that maybe a little bit of fuel saving will go into this. I wonder if you can make it through this entire race without even coming down pit lane altogether. I have a feeling that could very easily be done with the amount of yellows we've already have. If you have done enough fuel saving, you could maybe get away with it to some degree.
Yeah, I'm surprised so many came in there, to be honest with you. I would have thought they'd be able to save more than enough fuel for them to be able to get to the end now with the amount of cautions that we're having, and surely with a few more expected before the end of the day as well. But maybe not. Maybe we're going to see some more stops later as well. But that was quite a lot of drivers down pit lane, to be fair, compared to what I was expecting for the whole day, pretty much.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that some drivers would just try and run it out to the end, try and play it a little bit easy. Maybe with the drama we've seen thus far, maybe potentially we're seeing this field think, okay, there's probably a high chance of some green-white checkers, and that could extend the race by a pretty significant margin if we use all 3. So maybe some drivers are trying to angle it out that way. We'll see who has the best strategy call, who's going to come out of this race smelling like a bed of roses, and who's going to come out of it smelling like a vat of heavily used deep frying oil. It's Dan Witt and Nathan Burrows on your front row as we get this race restarted once again. Already seeing some drivers jump up to the high side. We've seen so many racers try and jump lanes before they even get to the line. That nets you a penalty both in real life and in iRacing, but drivers have done it regardless. Looks like they're clean as they head their way into 1.
Yep, nicely done, and more drivers single file than ever before here, which might well just help them here on this restart. They've certainly been allowed to get to turn 1 in time without a caution, but look at the way this field has just got so much smaller as a result of the incidents of earlier on. Hopefully it means there'll be some longer runs here towards the end.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're going to see this race stretch out slowly but surely, but you can never make too many promises. You can never wish upon a star too many times, otherwise none of the wishes will come true. Yep, that was the immediate commentator jinx nearly striking right there. That was a 90 mega sideways as they headed their way out of 4 into the tri-oval. They kept it going in a straight line, but I'm sure these racers are running out of opportunities to have a Code Brown moment before there's no ground left to give.
There you go. There was one of them there, just about getting, I don't know who it was, but getting took down low there just about in time. That was very, very close to disaster, indeed, on the low line, as Danwick continues to lead the field in car 39. It's in front of Matthew here, who's pushing. Justin Anasugak is trying to get something going on the outside here and has decent support up there as well.
So keeping an eye on this field, as it looks like both lanes are competitive. That bottom side running strong, the top side running strong too. Here comes a momentum from Agnesak as they head their way through 1 and 2. The 88 now holding on to the race lead. The 44 of Mateo Mitchell right in tow, trying to push that top side to their ultimate destiny. Now the 88 going to dip down to the bottom. So seeing another racer dip down to that bottom side, which does have strength in numbers.
Yep, absolutely, but no momentum at the moment for that low side at all. The top three just race around the outside and get straight through, so they've got the chance now to just dictate terms from the front, really, as we approach half distance. But Mitchell's going to get there at the front of this field, being pushed by Nathan Barrows, but again, the inside line's still going here. The outside so far back, they've got such a chance now, especially Mateo Mitchell, who's actually at the front, such a chance to block. Tony Green decides not to, stays down the low side as, again, Anasugak tries to get something going on the outside.
Yeah, so now I think both lanes are looking for a little bit more. That bottom side trying to get the momentum and keep it this time around. That top side just trying to get the participation and the momentum rolling themselves. That's the thing with plate racing. The tides can turn very quickly. Hey, it's Daytona Beach. It's a surf town, baby. Everybody gonna worry about the tides, but these racers out there on the racetrack worrying about a different kind of tide, as right now it's the top side holding on to the lesser amount of cars. They were holding on to the momentum, but it has now shifted with Mateo Mitchell being the Pied Piper of the bottom side, the Pied Piper of the field being pushed by Nathan Barrows holding on to the top spot.
Yeah, Mitchell doing a good job at the moment. It's going to be very interesting when/if that outside there gets alongside, or at least looks like it might do. Will Mitchell go up to defend? In fact, Barrows is doing that now, just half defending, but not with any conviction. Here comes car 88. What a shove on the backstretch. Mitchell stays down low, trusts those partners he's had now for the last few laps, but this is the first challenge for the lead in a few laps. Yeah, so now looking pretty even keel with both of the bottom and the top side competitors. I think the bottom side may be stalling out, though. Here, look at the 88 getting pushed by Nicholas Moody in the 60, who's going to maybe hang the 88 out to dry. The 88 dips down below into the bottom. Now, we saw this last time, and when he got up to the front, it really stalled at the bottom side's momentum. I feel like we may see the similar case play out once again. Look at the 60 trying to side draft off the 44 as he tries to push the 88 to that top spot. They're pretty much evenly matched in terms of participation at the moment, the top and the bottom. Yeah, but it's just about who's got the momentum here and who's doing shoving properly. Nicholas Moody pushed to the front, and look at that. Close as he tucks in front of the 88, but the momentum still with the high side. He should have stayed up high. Jeremy Briggs is racing around the top. Last night's winner getting to the front at lap 27.
Yes, doing everything that he needs to do. Finally, some good racing indeed. Look at Jeff Maconi, though. He dips down to the bottom. Now, he finished very strongly in the race 2 nights ago, looking to try and have a better run of things here this evening. Let's see what he can do, holding on to that top position on the bottom. Can he get enough of a push? Can he get the momentum rolling? Is the top side gonna prove to be superior? Got some lap traffic a little bit farther up the road as well. They may wreak havoc on this field too. That's a 16, the 52 it looks like. Dipping out to the bottom, it's not going to work.
Oh, Andrew Reddister tried to follow the 16 of Desmond Burnell, who made a pretty smart move there through the middle. 52 tried to follow, and there wasn't the space to do it. You'll see it here. The outside line turning to the inside. Burnell does it well there, you can see. But the 52 tries to do the same, and he's just not clear of Jeff Maconi, who has no choice, really, but to get into him. And they both end up in a big crash. The 90 as well, there was no part of that at all. Nathan Barrows, the only one to get a meatball out of the three of them.
Well, it was good while it lasted, and it was some darn good racing at that, but another maybe ill-advised move. I had a bad feeling about it as soon as the number 52 tried to follow the 16, because there just wasn't enough space there. I'd say there was 80% of the space there, not the full 100 to even make it, and it's just a matter of time before something like that was going to go down. Not seeing any sort of drama to come out of that, it looks like. Actually, was that trying to see, because Andrew Register has been removed. Was he the driver in the number 52 there? Oh, he was, yeah. So
Oh, that's quite harsh.
I gotta say, even it's Iron Fist nature for sure. See, I can say Iron Fist nature can sometimes work out well, but we just need to make sure we ride the fine line enough. We don't want to hang people for shoplifting now, do we?
I was going to say, it just feel a bit more like Granite Fists, that really, doesn't it? But anyway, I can understand it, because I don't know what number caution this is, but it's a lot for the amount of laps that we've had, which, by the way, not even had 30 laps yet, and what, 6 caution, something like that? Maybe more. So you can understand why, certainly, but that does feel very harsh. I think most of the other cautions so far have been, I would put down to unsensible driving, or at least or a deficiency in talent, one of the two. That, I think, is an honest mistake, and I don't think you really want to be disqualifying people for that. But again, you understand it because of what we've seen already so far.
Yeah, I can understand to a degree having the Iron Fist nature, but we'll have to see exactly whether or not that works out well, or whether we're just going to have the field massively cut down to size. Do have some more racers in this field running out there. Want to touch on the incident points as we kept tabs on that. The 35 is Zane Moorer, who we said earlier on had the most amount of incident points. He still does, even though I think he was last out there on the racetrack on lap 12. So packed a punch in that, I guess is fair to say. Daytona Cross and Tony Green currently holding on to 24x at the moment, although I believe Daytona Cross is out there on the racetrack. Actually, they're both out there on the racetrack still. So I think last night at the end of that race, we had 32x as the highest. So let's see whether or not we're going to have another...
Oh, right. Apparently, it's not for the driving necessarily. It's for the for the voice chat behaviour, which that we weren't aware of. So there you go. Suddenly, it all makes a bit more sense.
I'd love to see him in a Hendrick car next year.
Yeah. Nice. Might do quite well, actually, in a few years' time. Give him a few years, he'll be all right. Sorry.
I swear I do not have Tourette's. I swear I do not have Tourette's. Okay, we're gonna simply gloss past that, pretend that nothing was said. Let's get another restart going here. The field's a lot smaller than it once was, certainly a heck of a lot smaller than it was a matter of 29 laps ago. About to get the green flag out once again here at Daytona. We are back to racing. It's Jeremy Briggs and Matthew Keel holding on to the top spot. Cameron Verplank and Desmond Durrell right behind. They're the pushers. Let's see if that bottom side, it really does not have a lot of strength in numbers. Let's see if they can make something work out of nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the outside not as numerous as the inside, but that hasn't mattered that much so far. It's just about the pushing, and it's a good push for Matthew Heel. It's Desmond Burnell who's doing the pushing. Oh, and he does exactly the same what he did just before that previous caution. Going from the outside to the inside in a brief three-wide moment. He can't, though, get through because he's got no help. And here comes Tony Green for the lead.
Yeah, and now with the side-by-side pack, the bottom side, which we thought had it made, they have not. Everybody has jumped ship. That number 77 car of Tony Green has been through the ringer throughout the night, and I feel like the arrow may not be that good. Let's see if he can keep the momentum rolling at all, or whether everybody is just going to send him to the back of the pack, because it looks like that bottom side losing on participation, losing on momentum. The top runners on the top side may try and jump up in front. It looked like Matthew Beal was maybe angling towards as they headed their way through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's It's an attempt at the moment from Matthew Hill to make sure nobody gets to the outside of him, bizarrely, because that's where they were looking, very much next to the... Look at the 45 again, Daytona Cross looking again to the, to the wall, just looking for that car width to slide into, but it's just not appearing, and they're going so close to the wall. Let's see, somebody scraping it there, just in behind Daytona Cross. The inside's going nowhere. Cross trying to make it 3 wide, maybe trying to get to the inside, I'm not sure, but it's getting tight there in that 4th, 5th place battle.
Yes, still some close quarter stuff throughout this top pack, even though it may be a heck of a lot smaller. Everybody running at 10/10s, 18 laps now left to go here under the lights at Daytona. Matthew Hill holding on to that top spot. Now, that number 73 car has been involved in a lot of drama throughout the night, it is fair to say, but with that one fast repair, it has breathed some new life into that machine. The top 3 trying to break away. It looked like they were nearly going to do that, but no, the momentum here at Daytona, it is always going to cause this field to be stringed back together no matter what takes place.
Yeah, this inside line going absolutely nowhere at the moment, but Desmond Burnell's clearly got a quick car and is leading that inside line. So here we go. What's the pushing like, and where are they going to get to, and who's going to be there when they get there? Because Mateo Mitchell goes to the inside, diving to try and take the lead away from Matthew Hill.
Yeah, now the side-by-side battling going on once again. Tony Green being the pusher this
turned.
time. That's not going to work.
Oh, he's been turned, and that is harsh on the 77. Really harsh. Sorry, not the 77. That's Tony Green, who's still there, but turned around and to the back of the field for the 44. Sorry, Mateo Mitchell, who's the 77, doing the pushing indeed. Just a push at the wrong time off of turn 2. Not, in the straight actually, but just not lined up properly. You've got to be dead level, and unfortunately, Tony Green wasn't. Turns round Mateo Mitchell.
It's cutthroat out there on the racetrack. I gotta say, as we take a look at another replay of it, I'll save some further judgment until we see that going on. Oh, actually, back to the green flag racing still. We did not have a yellow as a result of that. We are still running out there firm on the racetrack. But, yeah, it's probably the most normal incident we have seen thus far here tonight, it must be said.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been rather unusual, but we are starting to see some good green flag runs towards the end. See, this is what I mean by a 10-car ARCA race around here would be absolutely fine. I mean, there's 10 at the front right now. I don't see it being any less entertaining, to be honest. But there you go. Matthew Hill leads another lap here, and will try and continue to dictate this from the front. Jeff Maconi, though, being pushed on the low side. No faster power, I don't think, for him anymore. He will be going for the win or bust, I would imagine. And he came very, very close indeed on night number 1 on Monday. See whether he can go one better here tonight on Wednesday.
And looking at this pack running their way down the back straightaway, time is slowly running out, but we're at the point of this race where I think everybody just wants to settle it into a groove, which it really hasn't been all throughout the night. There's always been a yellow. There's always been a curveball thrown these racers' way. They just want to try and get into the final 10, probably the final 5 laps will be when we start to see the pot begin to boil over a little bit more once again. For now, though, everybody just going with the flow of things, which I think is a good strategy call at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Oof! What a squeeze that was for Matthew Hill. He's trying to now sort of block the line that's approaching, but he's going to find that very difficult as Jeff Maconi looks like he wants to go to the outside very briefly there, but then tucks back in. On the outside, there's a big push and a bit of momentum trying to be formed up for the outside, but not going anywhere for the moment. Matthew Hill doing a good job of defending that lead.
And now looking at this pack with Hill and Maconi, 1 and 2. You got Jeremy Briggs on the high side. Now, we think about last night's race and the kind of situation that Jeremy Briggs found himself in with 14 laps to go. That was kind of around when the incident took place that broke up the field a little bit. He was the one running in the draft. He's running in the draft once more. That's the 88 of Anis Olgak, holding on to that top spot on the top side. Never mind, Matthew Hill gonna break away from Maconi. So that duo that looked like a dynamic duo for a brief period of time have now broken up.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew Hill doing probably the best job so far of holding this lead. Now, where's he going to go? Is he going to stick with the outside? Is he going to tuck back in? I think he realises that he probably didn't have the space to tuck in there. Jeff Maconi was just about alongside. He'll wait for that run on the exit of turn number 4. He's comfortably a car length in the lead again with 12 to go.
Yeah, the time is still running out. It's passing along with every single passing moment, but the momentum is really with the top side right now, and they've got the strength in numbers. Maconi trying to be the hole punch, punching that hole in the air with a big old chunk of steel that is an ARCA Menards race car. It's not really working out too well at the moment. The momentum is clearly with the top side, even with the pushing for the number 29 of Mike Allen right behind him. It's just not working out in his favor. Now, however, look at the 60, that's Nicholas Moody. He jumps down to the bottom, and look at that, really stalling out, but will he be able to make it work? We're going to see the tides turn once more. 16 down the middle.
Desmond Burnell through the middle again. That's the third time he's done that in the last 10 laps or so, for 15 laps, and he's going to have no help. So he, just as quickly as he gets alongside Tony Green and Jeff Maconi, he's going to go straight backwards as well. He's got to try and work his way through these lines a little bit better. He can't create his own when he's back there. Because 3 wide with this small of a field doesn't really work. There goes Anasaga going to the inside. Matthew Hill's lead might well be over.
Yeah, it is over as they head their way into 3 and 4. He's been shuffled down to 3rd, may drop down even more. The tides change once again here at Daytona. You can never exactly pin it down. You can never really figure out how it's going to work. One lap, the top side has the strength, then the bottom, then the top, then the bottom, then the top. They swap back and forth, oh so often that he can never decide which side is the right one to be on. Maconi thinking that it's going to be the top side's time as everybody's starting to shuffle. He's going to leave the 88 out to dry there on the top side, though. The bottom line still keeping that momentum, and Maconi riding it to the top spot.
And Ansagak goes straight down low there to try and get a bit of side draft, but Maconi is now dictating it from the front, weaving around to the 88. It gives him a big shove now. You can tell it's the final 10 laps here. That was a bigger shove than what we've seen so far. Nicholas Moody might be alongside Maconi, though, and preventing him from going down the inside. That was a thankless tact for Maconi because he was not really able to block both lines at the same time there. He was going to get overtaken whichever line he stayed in, but he sticks with the outside. He gets that big push from Anasagak now, and he will just about have his nose in front by the line.
I'm starting to feel the tension build in this battle. I'm starting to see some more kind of hair-raising moments. No, Maconi! He does not clear himself, and that's going to be a big stack-em-up wreckfest into 1. And if I'm being honest, Jeff kind of calls that of his own. It was a desperate move to cover off the bottom, and it was never going to fly.
No. That was a second crash for Jeff Maconi in the last 2 cautions, and he might well struggle to get that car repaired from now. We'll have another look at it, but it was a good green flag run up to that point. It really was good stuff, and unfortunately it's come to an end. This is how Jeff Maconi was just about clear on the way towards turn 1, but evidently not all the way clear. Nicholas Moody is the one who is unfortunately involved. So are the 11 and the 61 cars. That's Cameron Verplank in 61 and Chris Amin in 11, who has got a meatball. Desmond Burnell has also got a meatball, so has Nicholas Moody. Jeff Maconi's got a meatball. He will be out, I would imagine, from here.
That's a little bit of a sad note there up at the top. ARCA boot camp is dead and we all killed it. Oh.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I think we're having a good time. I mean, once everybody stopped, killing each other, I think we've actually had some good racing as of late.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a thing with Daytona, isn't it? In January and February, a lot of people want to do it. Unfortunately, it's a very, very difficult combination to actually be, ultra clean with, and that's what's unfortunately held us back a little bit tonight. Really, it's been very, very difficult to sort of stay green flag, which has been, I'd say, a little bit of a shame. But there you go. We've got some good green flag runs, like the one we just had there, and hopefully, my prediction earlier about if we had cautions in the last 10 laps, then we're probably going to end up using those green lap checkers. Hopefully, that prediction is not going to come out to be true. Otherwise, we could have quite a stop-start end to the race, just like we had at the start.
I'm hoping that if we do have stop-start nature, we're at least gonna make it onto the backstretch and not wreck in the tri-oval. That is my hope. That is my prayer, and I'm hoping it is answered. Seeing the 77 slow there on the top side. Everybody trying to get themselves sorted out. Now, at this point, we are seeing something that you kind of alluded to a few moments ago, Ewan, with some drivers actually running down in pit lane. Visibly damaged race cars. The 16 pretty much stopped on pit entry. That's a bit of code brand moment and a checkup for the racers behind. But everybody running out of the faster pairs at this point, and it is coming back to bite some people in the hind end.
Yeah, if Bernal and Amin don't have any faster pairs left, then they have had it, because their four wheels aren't even rotating properly at the moment, which is needed. There you go. See whether that is one because they've just used them, or one because they've already used them before this. But let's see how many can actually get out and into this group with a reasonable car to compete with. Desmond Bernal's back out again, and Chris Amin is as well. So they had it held back, and they are at least going to be on the racetrack for this restart, which will have 11 on the lead lap again.
Yeah, and looking at the faster pairs, two of the top three have yet to use theirs, that being Anna Sogak and Jeremy Briggs. So Matthew Heel has, because he was involved in some drama. I want to give some love to Tony Green, who's currently running in fourth. Now, keeping in touch with the incident points and all of that stuff, he's currently holding on to the most in this field at 32, which is the max that we had in the race last night. And we still have a little bit of time left. 7 laps to go. Now, we throw green-white checkers into the midst of that will probably increase. However, you know, I don't know why. I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that this restart is going to be the final restart we have of the night. Oof. Now, watch me eat my words in about 2 seconds when we get the restart up and rolling, and half the field stacks it up before they even get to the line.
I suspect he might be, to be honest. When we see it, I don't think it will be quite that short, but no, I don't think we'll get to the end quite with this. But you know, look at those faster pairs there. Pretty much everybody having used them, so they're going to have to be, as a group, quite careful here of not using their faster pairs. John Cormorgan comes in again for what looks like another black flag. Not entirely sure what's going on with him tonight.
See, I wonder if this is like bottom split, what he tried to do a couple of years ago, running the running the race at Martinsville and trying to pit 100 times in that race and still walk away with the podium. Just try and give yourself as many black flags as humanly possible and see where you could finish. I will say, once again, touching on the incident points, because that is a very interesting storyline that I like to keep touching on. Last night, we saw no drivers in the field walk away with a 0x, same as the night before. I don't want to jinx him, but right now, Justin Anasogak is holding on to a 0x. I hope I didn't just jinx him. I probably just did, but the fact he's managed to go through this race, the first 44 laps, without even getting a single incident point, that is a Christmas miracle in early January.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, Jeff Maconi's back on the circuit as well, by the way. Didn't quite realise, but he is a lap down, and so does need another caution. But we've got 12 drivers back out there and the field. As shown by that previous restart, though, I think we're still going to have a good bit of racing tonight because of the because of the reduced field, really, and the fact that it just gives everybody a little bit more space to play with.
Yeah, I think the right term here at Daytona is breathing room. Having a little bit of breathing room to catch your breath, relax. It's not going to feel nearly as cramped and claustrophobic as it did in the earlier stages. We're probably going to have a wild finish to this race, as we have had the past 2 nights. Photo finish on night 1, some crazy incidents throughout race number 2. We've seen a bit of both forms of excitement thus far here tonight, but let's get the race green flag rolling for maybe the final time here tonight. The green flag flies are dropping back on their way. Anna Sogak holding on to that top spot in the number 88 car. Look at Jeremy Briggs Briggs. He's hooked up right there behind. Jeremy got the move on the last lap last night to get the race win. Let's see if he can go 2 for 2. He'll try to make something work behind.
Yeah, Anderson is going to get eaten up here very, very quickly because there's just no help in behind, and that is an easy pass for Jeremy Briggs on the outside. But how long is it going to last for? Tony Green, I thought he was going to go through the middle there briefly, but couldn't quite do it. They're formed up nicely, 2 wide all the way through, and there are 10 involved in competition for this win. John Camogan has not got the speed or indeed the car because I think it's probably damaged. So there's 10 involved in this battle for the race win.
Yeah, and Jeremy Briggs trying to get to the point. He goes for the bottom, tries to go for the race lead. Will it work out? They're all squirrely. That's Verplank right to the back of him. Look at the number 73 of Matthew Heel. He's the one assisting the 88. Now this, oh no, contact made. Briggs half spun throughout the field. He keeps it going in a straight line. That was a push from Verplank that goes desperately wrong. He's now dropped down. Verplank's dropped down too. I was gonna say before we saw that bit of drama though into turn number 1 and 2, and all throughout tonight we have seen racers kind of stab each other in the back. At this point though, you need to rely on the friends you've made already.
Yeah, absolutely. And very soon it's going to be every man for themselves because there's just 3 laps to go and there's very few actually involved. Dan Wick gets a massive run because of the gaps that opened up in front of the 39. Huge run to the outside here, and just in behind Mike Allen is following them along. So 3 to go, the outside prevails, and Justin Anasagak does not intend to lose this lead from now right to the finish.
And now the main reason I mentioned having friends is I thought the 88 and the 73 were going to be friends, and they still are at the moment, but there was a bit of a breakup when that bottom side looked to have momentum. Now, if I were Matthew Heel, I would look at that and think, hey, you have no loyalty to me. Why would I return the favor? That's the 77 going for the bottom. He has a mighty run. Will any of the top 3 break away? We're coming to 2 to go this time by you, and this is setting up to be a stormer of a finish.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's going to be 2 laps to go, and are we going to get to the finish without another caution here? There's still 9 involved for this race win. Jeremy Briggs will be praying for another caution because he's been very late on, taken out of this competition for the race victory. Are they going to get through this next lap cleanly to the white flag?
Yeah, they've still got about 5 miles of racing left to go before they can see that checkered flag come out. That's the 88 of Anasogak holding on to that top spot. Matthew Heel right behind. Dan Wynn, that number 39 car that we saw have a huge run. Now it's a car behind him. Mike Allen in the 29 with a huge shot of momentum, but he doesn't have any takers. He dips down to the bottom with nobody in tow. He's going to get shuffled down, pushed out like an anvil being pushed out of a helicopter. They're coming to the white flag this time by 1 more lap of racing action, 2.5 miles here at Daytona, and it's Anasagak holding on to that top spot. The real question is, he leads at the white, will he lead at the checker?
Well, that is the big question here. Who is going to sweep down in there and try and take that position away? Anasagak knows that's very likely, and Heel goes for it. There he goes. Maybe a bit of a surprise to the 88, which is going backwards very, very quickly now. Look at the pushing.
No.
Oh, Burnell saves it in the 16. And look at the runs from behind. Even Mike Allen's got a massive run in the 29 car.
Yeah, Mike Allen, the 29 car, if he gets another draft assistance, he may be able to do this. They wreck big time. That's a 61 in the 11. Verplank and Eamon. Now, look at the 88. He may have lost down the lead. The 73 blocks high. He dives down low. Look at the 29, the 39. They're going to try and apply some pressure here. 39 of Mike Allen tries to go for the move on the outside, then the inside. The 73 blocks it up. 3 wide at the line. Heel, I believe, got it done.
Just about. Heel got there by less than 300ths of a second. Mike Allen very nearly came from the very back of that group to win that race. That was very nearly extraordinary. But look at this. It's a photo finish, 3 wide across the line by half a car length. Heel does get it done.
And that almost makes up for it. 3 wide photo finish here at Daytona. Granted, some of the drivers farther in the back may have hit the fence, but we'll not touch on that. That was insane. Let's take a look at this. At the line, I thought it was maybe going to be Mike Allen, and based off the fact that he got shown the door a matter of about a lap and a half prior, I'm not sure what sort of nitrous was in that car. That was insanity. The run that he had hang down the back straightaway, and doubly so considering he still made it work despite the fact he didn't really have anybody pushing him around.
I mean, I would like to personally see that last lap from Mike Allen's point of view, because I thought he was going to win there from the very back almost. See, Matthew Hill got there in the end, and he was never going to let that go free wide, to be fair. But even so, that was a remarkable last lap from Mike Allen. Thanks to Howie, of course, for getting the replays up once again here tonight. And obviously the live action as well. Look at him at the start of this lap, by the way. Right at the back. Very nearly won the race.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of stuff going on here. Some of the drivers did nearly crash. There was a 16. Everybody else fans at. They were 3 wide heading out of 4 as well. But look at Allen holding on to that top side position. Blew everybody's doors off. Yeah, that definitely was a hip check to cause the incident with the 11 and the 61. But based off some of the stuff we've seen thus far in the race, that's basically a minor discretion. That's nothing compared to what we've seen thus far here tonight. He had such a mighty run. Gets a drive from the 61, gets a drive from the 60, pulls back in line. Everybody checks up. Now, with everybody checking up, it did make it seem like his car was being counted, which it may have been. He had so much speed right towards the end. Probably the strongest runs that we saw throughout the entirety of the night, and that was just able to keep it rolling and running green as they got to the end. He nearly visited victory lane, but instead gonna be Matthew Hill getting the W at the end of a rather dramatic race. I think it is fair to say he gets a victory. It was 3 wide at the end between himself. Justin Anasagak, who led, coming to take the white, did not grab the checkered at the end. Mike Allen finishes this race in a very close 3rd. Dan Witt in 4th with Nicholas Moody running at your top 5. Desmond Burnell in P6. Tony Green finishes right behind in 7th. Jeremy Briggs in P8. Cameron Verplank in P9. John Cole Morgan is in P10. Now we'll scroll through the rest of the field. Pretty much everybody from Chris Amon down. Well, Jeff Maconi did finish the race. Everybody else behind either got sent into the nether realm because of stuff going on out there on the racetrack, or just failed to finish. So you can see the rest of the drivers. You can see them. We will not mention them by name. We'll also say, touching on the true statistical anomaly of them all, the incident points. At the end of this race, Tony Green, who had a pretty good finish at the end of it all, walked away with P7, 36 incident points. So only here at Daytona you could have a 36x and still finish the race inside the top 10. Now, granted, only the top 10 were running at the end, but you take the wins when they are allotted. But Ewan, we got some drivers looking to have a chat with us, so I'll let you have a chat with Kirk Mills, who's now joining us in the booth.
Yeah, Kirk, welcome in. Good to see you and hear from you. Unfortunately, it's been quite a long time since we saw you on the racetrack, unfortunately, because your race ended quite a long time ago. Tell us how it went back there in the very chaotic opening laps of this race.
Well, I can tell you right now, oh man, this thing was as beautiful as a pig. I'll tell you that. That's what it was. You look at it's not good, man. My car, for the race itself, I wasn't, I got out of the car because I wanted to make sure that the race was clear, and we had to get rid of a lot of knuckleheads. So it was a rough night tonight, but altogether, it was one heck of a finish. 3 wide the line. Can you believe it? That was absolutely beautiful. Better than yesterday in terms of finishing wise, but just a lot of mistakes by drivers you don't expect to see mistakes from tonight. So altogether, glad I didn't have to race it. I'll be honest. Watching from above was a little better, but it was one of them races that I think we can have back. But now we're on to next week. Jeff Maconi here, he's going to be going out there doing that test, and hopefully something in here he learned, and we will move away from that. So we'll see, and hopefully it helps him out at the test. But altogether, great. It was a night that was hard to like, but it was okay.
Yeah, it was, as you say, we got a good finish in the end as well. So that redeems itself slightly there. Just tell us a little bit about what you're expecting from the next couple of months in terms of your personal racing ambitions, because there's obviously going to be a lot of races at Daytona coming up. Some of them we'll see you at. Are you expecting to win any of them? How are you expecting to go at Daytona in the important months of January and February for this venue?
Yeah, I tell you right now, man, I actually ain't going to be driving that much. I'll be up here in the booth with you guys doing the full-length Cup Challenge and also the Friday Night Lights O'Reilly Series. We're going to be doing that, and it's going to be one hell of a season. There's so much hype behind it. There's a lot of A lot of great teams in there, all the way from, of course, with Maconi Setup Shop. Then you also got stuff that are out there. Other setup shops are going to be competing, esport teams. A lot of guys that are ex-Coke are even racing in there. You got John Delaney. It's going to be one heck of a racing series. And, it's going to be a lot of fun. But for me, my driving is going to be just sporadic, not as common as you'd see. But no matter what, Daytona, man, it gets me hyped. It was fun to watch. It was a great time. But thank you all for doing it. And, of course, I'm excited to see everybody at the next couple races when we come back for the Friday Night Lights series.
Thanks very much. We'll obviously see you in the booth in the next couple of weeks, Kirk. Thanks for chatting to us.
Rock and roll.
Thanks very much. Kirk Mills, I didn't realise he wasn't racing so much this year. I just assumed he was doing Friday Night Lights again, Ron, but as in driving, but apparently not.
And we do have a driver joining us here in the booth, Matthew Heel, now here in the broadcast booth. Matthew, welcome into the booth. It's a victory for you at the end of a wild race here at Daytona. How was it from your perspective?
Well, I just was going to put my foot to the floor, and I wasn't lifting until I saw God or a checkered flag. Just kidding. The Planter Box Direct All Metalworks Toyota Camry was super, super fast tonight. I actually help out Andy Jankowiak in his program. I'm a little sad that I'm not able to be down in Daytona with him this weekend, but I'm going to be heading up with another few of his crew members over to Allentown for the indoor series. But this was a lot of fun. I think we had a full field here, and I forgot to qualify, so I barely just squeaked in and that P37, I think. So barely made it, and I really didn't have any expectations tonight. I usually have pretty poor luck when it comes to super speedway racing and just getting caught up in other incidents. And honestly, I counted myself out there for the first 15, 20 laps because I just kept getting crashed into. And the seas just kind of parted there when everybody pitted with about 25 to go. And because I had to pit under the previous caution, I knew that if we had another yellow or two that I'd be good on fuel. And I just kind of hung out at the front and got a few lucky pushes. Very thankful to have a couple good friends in here that, didn't spin me out, and was able to come home with one. I'm super, super pumped. I can't remember the last time I won a super speedway race. Usually it's just me in the catch fence or me pretty angry and throwing my chair against the wall. So super, super pumped about it. I appreciate you guys putting this on. I wish the best of luck to Jeffrey Maconi this weekend at Daytona. Again, a little sad that I couldn't make it this year, but had fun nonetheless, and appreciate you guys putting these on.
And now I want to ask, you said going up to Allentown. That's Allentown, Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes, sir. We're going for the indoor auto racing series. Andy Jankowiak actually won there last year, as well as Atlantic City. It's always a great show, Top Guns like Ryan Flores and Anthony Cecily, Mason Mason, all those super, super talented guys all race there. And it's a lot of fun. So we're gonna have the car there. We're a little bit sad this year that there was a bit of a conflict there. Andy's got to go test at Daytona, so he's gonna be missing Friday night, and there's a slim chance that I might be jumping in the car. So I don't want to say anything, but we're crossing our fingers and hoping for the best there with that. And we're hoping that he can make it out of the test on Saturday with just enough time to come back Saturday night and win the show at Allentown.
Well, I will say, as somebody who's driven through and around Allentown on several occasions, having lived in an hour and a half south of Allentown for the entirety of my life, Allentown's a home of about 5 things, and I see here that there's some action going on there in that city in the not too far off future. But Matthew, we'll let you give some more thanks or shout outs before we let you go and celebrate a well-earned victory here tonight.
I just got to thank my friends and family for supporting my racing journey. Got to thank the broadcast and Jeffrey Maconi for putting this event on. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a place to showcase our talent. And just wishing everybody the best of luck, and excited to be racing inside of the PPL Center and just hoping for the best. But if you guys are looking to scratch that racing itch, look up the Indoor Auto Racing Series. It is always a hell of a show. Very chaotic, almost similar to one of these races where they crash a lot. It makes me a little bit hesitant to enter my new car into the show, but it's all in good fun, and just wishing everybody a fun and safe test down at Daytona.
And awesome to hear that you may be behind the wheel there in Allentown in the not too far off future. And while you're there, stop off at the America on Wheels Museum. I believe that's still what it's called. The Philly SCCA used to hold their year-end championship banquet there. I've gone there several occasions myself. But Matthew, thank you for joining us in the booth. Well done the win, and looking forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack at some point here on Maconi Entertainment soon.
Thank you, sir.
And that right there was Matthew Heel, Allentown, Pennsylvania, the home of 5 things, and 6 of them are abandoned coal mining facilities. And this was a pretty wild night here at Daytona. I would say maybe even more wild than last night to some degree. Had the same fantastic racing that we had on night number 1, had the same amount of chaos and drama as we had on night number 2. I said that we were going to get a mix of both nights, and we really did.
Well, yeah, you can be the judge of previous nights compared to this one, but I was pleased in the end with the second half of the race, definitely. The first half of the race, when there was a lot of guys still in the field, was less clean racing, and we didn't really get any sort of green flag run together, which was a real shame. I was pleased in the end with those late green flag runs, and I think maybe didn't make up for it entirely, but certainly helped with a great 3-wide finish, which we can all be happy to have seen. So, a good payoff in the end with a good finish, but obviously people will be remembering that first half of the race and not be too impressed with what they saw, as we heard from Kirk there a few moments ago.
Yeah, so that's just about going to do it here for this chain of Jeff Maconi's ARCA Bootcamp. Of course, stay tuned here on Maconi Entertainment and the Maconi Setup Shop YouTube channels to hear whenever we go live. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. Have a lot of action as we get into the year of 2026, so it gives you a very good reason to subscribe. But I think for this broadcast here for night number 3 of Jeff Maconi's Bootcamp here at Daytona, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Mullins, Leary joining me in the commentary booth, and Howie Burrows working all the cameras and the graphics in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into this broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.